Hi, hello. Today we're going to be talking about the 7-star normal Rillaboom Raids. I hate that we're doing this, but Iron Hands is really good here. So I made the best Iron Hands build I think I could make, and you won't believe what moves it has. Nah, it's cool. We'll get to Iron Hands in a second. Before we talk about the 6 Pokemon I've built for this week's raids. Just a heads up, I don't make solo builds. All these Pokemon synergize and work with each other. I'll explain why when we get to them. But let's talk about Rillaboom first. Rillaboom is normally a grass Pokemon with the ability Grassy Surge. Grassy Surge will put up grassy terrain for 5 turns when the battle starts. So we won't have any way to stop that. That's fine, though. Grassy Terrain will boost Rillaboom's Grass-type moves by 30%. It will also reduce the damage from Earthquake and Bulldoze by 50%. Now, Rillaboom does get access to Earthquake, but it does not get access to Bulldoze. So I don't see them giving Rillaboom Earthquake because that would not synergize. But Rillaboom can learn Stomping Tantrum, which is not as powerful, but it doesn't get affected by grassy terrain. Rillaboom has an attack set of 125. It's really impressive. It's really good. Rillaboom is very good in VGC in competitive, so that's no surprise here. It also has a special attack stat of 60. As it turns out, Rillaboom gets access to a very, very, very powerful special attack, which is probably why it's the normal type Terra. And that attack is Boom Burst. It's 140 base power, and it's 100% accuracy. It will hit everyone. Because Rillaboom hits so hard physically, and because the base damage of this move is so high, even though it just has the 60 base attack here for special attack, it's still threatening enough to make you consider some different options. Now, we have ways to stop this and to mitigate that damage, but unlike mixed attackers in the past, Rillaboom just seems to hit hard no matter what. Purely because of that one move. If Rillaboom was using other special attacking moves, it's not that big of a deal. Speaking of the other moves here, it's possible for it to have Wood Hammer, Frenzy Plant, Takedown, Hammer Arm, Giga Impact, Earthquake, Stomping Tantrum, we talked about that, Acrobatics, Knockoff, and U-Turn. Those are the physical moves that it could have. Now, how I calculate damage is kind of based on the strongest moves here. So you don't see like a move like Body Slam. That's because Takedown's a little bit stronger. Is it possible for it to have Body Slam? Yes, 100%. But if we can survive Takedown, we can survive Body Slam. Do I think it's going to have Giga Impact? No, but we should at least, make sure that we can survive that. All of these Pokemon could survive U-Turn if it has it, although I don't think it'll have it. It's not a particularly strong bug-type attack. It is coverage. I've already seen people talking about Knockoff and, what if it has Knockoff? There are plenty of 5- and 6-star raid Pokemon that have Knockoff. Knockoff does not work in raids. It will do damage. It will do a little bit more damage if you have a held item. It will not remove your held item. It just doesn't work. This was the same that I saw a bunch of people talk about how Magician was going to steal your item. It didn't. And that's what I said. It didn't steal your item. It didn't do that. Now, that sounds bad. Fun fact, it doesn't work in raids, so we won't have to worry about it. It's just like Cinderace's ability didn't work in raids, Greninja's ability didn't work in raids, although they're the same ability technically. Nor does a move like Knockoff. If you've ever, there's a couple raid bosses that know the move Knockoff, which would remove your held item technically. And when they do that to you in a 6-star raid or 5-star raid, it doesn't actually do it. You still keep your held item. I put 2 days into these builds before I brought them to you because, and look, I probably got something wrong here, and I'm sure the comments will correct me, but I try to make sure that I'm not rushing these builds and I'm giving you Pokemon that you are okay with building prior and you don't feel like you wasted your time or your resources. The other possibility here that you probably don't see is that we didn't include Rillaboom's signature move, Drum Beating. Drum Beating is unique in that it lowers your speed every time it uses it, which would be some sort of gimmick. I guess Rillaboom would end up being faster than you if it keeps using Drum Beating over and over. But the reason I didn't include it here is because we've had, I think, 2 raid bosses, Decidueye being one and then Chestnut being the other, that have had Wood Hammer, so the recoil doesn't really matter. And I thought it was more important for us to survive Wood Hammer. If we can survive Wood Hammer, we can survive Drum Beating, and we have other ways to get rid of to stop the speed drops. But speed drops aren't that big of a deal compared to like defense drops or attack drops. We can live with speed drops, but it was interesting that Delphox didn't get Mystical Fire, a signature move that would have actually probably made the raid harder. So I can kind of see a similar thing here where it skips out on the Drum Beating and it just opts for Wood Hammer instead. But again, if we can survive Wood Hammer, we can survive Drum Beating. The move that actually is probably the biggest problem here is Acrobatics. Acrobatics covers the one weakness that Rillaboom has, which is fighting. Acrobatics covers all that fighting type, and it's very possible for it to have it. Now, with past raid Pokemon, they always cover the thing they are weak against. That being said, they don't cover everything. Inteleon was a really good example of this. Inteleon, being ice type, is weak to things such as fire, rock, and fighting. It could have learned Acrobatics, but it didn't. That would have made a lot of fighting Pokemon tough to use against Inteleon. Because it was ice type, it was weak to fire and rock. It had water type moves. Water is super effective against rock and fire. So there was coverage to prevent against its weakness. It just didn't have coverage for all of its weaknesses. And if you look at all the 7-star raids, it's very similar in that sense. They cover for a lot of their weaknesses, but sometimes they don't cover for all of them. In this case, Rillaboom is only weak to fighting, and Rillaboom doesn't have like a psychic type move, but it does have a flying type move. So I think Acrobatics is really likely here, which makes a lot of fighting Pokemon a little wonky to work with. We have really good counters, so I think we have a good way around that. Status type moves, we have Leech Seed, which I don't see happening. It would waste way too much time in the raid. Screech, Taunt. I don't think Rillaboom's going to be the taunter. Our raid bosses. Grassy Terrain, it's going to automatically set Grassy Terrain, but I could see it having Grassy Terrain to reset it mid the raid. You could have Noble Roar, Worry Seed, Growth, Swords Dance, Bulk Up, Scary Face. You also have like Growl and stuff like that. So it has actually really good status type moves here, and I think the ones that really stand out here is Screech, Swords Dance, and Bulk Up. I think those are probably the most threatening of the moves here. Okay, let's get into our first raid build. That's going to be Zamazenta. This is actually the identical Zamazenta I built a month ago. Nothing has changed. It's the same thing. It's good. I'll explain it really quick. Zamazenta has to be holding the rusted shield that will put it into crowned form. It will be fighting steel. It will have the nature impish, and it's an all-arounder for this raid. It's not main damage, it's not support, it's in between. So what I would do with Zamazenta is I would either start off with a Snarl or a Reflect. Now, unfortunately, because Zamazenta has to hold the rusted shield, it can't hold something like Light Clay. While Zamazenta can do Light Screen, I actually like Snarl here more. It does the same effect, right? But it also gives you one step closer to being able to Terrastalize, which is going to let you do more damage in the future. So once you set up Reflect, Snarl once or twice, you're going to start doing Iron Defense and Body Press. Speaking of Body Press and Iron Defense, I want to explain how this kind of works. Because of Zamazenta's ability, Dauntless Shield, it's going to get a +1 defense boost as it comes in. In Pokemon, you can only be at a +6. So when you Iron Defense twice, Zamazenta is at +5. And when you Iron Defense for the third time, you are at +6. You cannot go to 7, which would be ideal. You will actually end up doing more damage faster by only Iron Defensing twice. There should be a graphic on the screen, but you can see the damage here. This is just average damage that I've calculated. But if you go 8 turns in the raid, and this is like a perfect scenario, right? This is like you not stopping to heal chair. This is like you not getting crit. This is Rillaboom not resetting your stats. You will do 2 Iron Defenses. You will Body Press 3 times. You'll be able to Terrastalize, and then you'll be able to do 3 more Body Presses as a Terrastalization. And in 8 turns, you would end up doing 2,793 damage. If you spent the time to do 3 Iron Defenses, so the difference here would be a +5 versus a +6. You would then do your 3 Body Presses. You would Terrastalize a turn later because you needed to Iron Defense. And then you would do 2 more Body Presses Terrastalized. You can see you're doing more damage, obviously, because of the bonus Iron Defense, but you're still not hitting the same amount of damage. You would actually end up having to do 2 to 3 more turns of a +6 Body Press to pass the 5 Body Press. And there's no way in 11 turns your stat's not going to get reset. So I just want to stress how I think most people watching this video have probably sit next to like a Slowbro and watch that Slowbro Iron Defense 3 times and then switch over to Nasty Plot, and then their stats get reset, and then they Iron Defense again, and then they Nasty Plot, and by the time they're ready, the raid is over because the other 3 people on the team have done the damage and have kept putting pressure onto the boss, and then the Slowbro is just sitting there Iron Defensing over and over. Don't be that for Zamazenta. The damage here doesn't lie. Now, obviously, I don't know Rillaboom's final moveset, but I can always plan for worst case scenario so you guys can build Pokemon early and feel confident about those Pokemon going forward. Now, I know what you're saying. Steve, I don't have access to a Zamazenta. Worry not. Literally take exactly what I did with Zamazenta, the HP, the defense, the nature, the moveset, and if you don't have a Zamazenta, apply the same things to a Forretress or a Bronzong. They work both exactly the same. It would be Reflect, Light Screen, Iron Defense, Body Press. So this is pretty much your budget Zamazenta, Forretress, or Bronzong. Same EVs. I would put a Light Clay on either of those two, so you can get maximum Light Screen and maximum Reflect. I don't think either of those Pokemon learn Snarl, but obviously Light Screen is fine there. And then what you're going to do with those two Pokemon, you're going to start with either your Reflect or your Light Screen, do the secondary screen, and then Iron Defense. I still would do 2 times, and then start Body Pressing, and then when the stats reset, Iron Defense again, Body Press, make sure you put up the shields as well. And yeah, there we go. We've already talked about 3 Pokemon now. Zamazenta, if you need a budget one, Bronzong, or Forretress. They should both work very, very well, very, very similar. Some stats for the nerds real quick. This is no Reflect. This is no Iron Defenses. This is an Adamant Rillaboom Earthquake, not doing anything. I know some people might be worried that Zamazenta is Steel type. Stomping Tantrum, not doing anything. Knockoff, U-turn, literally not touch. And again, this is no Reflect. This is no Iron Defense. Here we go. Woodhammer is like a 9-hit KO. Giga Impact. Let me terrestrialize here. Giga Impact. Worse than Woodhammer. Acrobatics, literally doing nothing. Hammer Arm, possibly a 6-hit KO. Put on a Reflect. Now it's a 10-hit KO. And then if we're looking at special moves, in the weird case that it has Leaf Storm, Focus Blast, or Earth Power, Focus Blast is actually the most threatening move here. Boom Burst, which we are very much suspecting it to have, is like a 9-hit KO. Now, let's say for whatever crazy reason it has Focus Blast, 1 Snarl here turns that into a 7-hit KO. Awesome. Super great. For when I do raid builds, I will never suggest a Pokemon that gets 2-hit KO by something unless it's doing something very specific that we need, and there's ways to decrease that 2-hit KO to like a 3, 4, 5-hit KO. And we have one of those Pokemon today, and I'm going to put all the like, hey, be very careful with this Pokemon. It's very powerful, but can go terribly wrong when we get to it. All right, let's talk about Iron Hands. Iron Hands is probably one of the most controversial raid Pokemon out there because so many people love using it because when it works, it works. So many people hate standing next to it because of the situation. Belly Drum, faint, come back in, Belly Drum, faint, and now the raid is thrown. I've personally seen 3 Iron Hands, all Belly Drum, on turn 1, and then watched all 3 faint against a raid boss. But we're 8 months into this game, and we still constantly see Iron Hands Belly Drum and then die. Again, sometimes it works. Sometimes, the 5-star raid bosses aren't hitting as hard as a 7-star raid boss. But here's my Iron Hands build, and I'm going to explain what's going on. It's Drain Punch, Swords Dance, Focus Energy, and Electric Terrain. Now, if you are so set on Belly Drum, I would replace Electric Terrain and Swords Dance with Iron Defense and Belly Drum, and I would Iron Defense once before you Belly Drum. That will definitely keep you alive. I guess you could get rid of Focus Energy for Electric Terrain, but you're probably saying, like, Steve, why is Swords Dance Focus Energy here? Where's the Shell Bell? What's going on? Number one is it is exhausting to see so many people recommend Iron Hands, Shell Bell, Drain Punch, when actually Iron Hands, Drain Punch, and Big Root just gives you more recovery. Big Root is a held item that works with very specific moves. It works with Drain Punch. So if your main move you're spamming is Drain Punch, which is most Iron Hand users, Big Root will just give you more recovery. So it's a little frustrating that we're like 8 months in and people are still recommending Shell Bell, Drain Punch, when Big Root, Drain Punch is much better. You know what's better than both of those? critical hit Drain Punch. It actually gets you more HP back, and it critical hits. So, in this situation with my Iron Hands, you will start off with Focus Energy, and with the Scope Lens, every Drain Punch will be critical hit no matter what. The other thing about Focus Energy is the Raid Boss cannot clear it. You only have to use it once. You will never have to use it again unless you faint. Every Drain Punch will be critical hit. It will ignore stat boost that Rillaboom does. So if Rillaboom does have bulk up and it uses bulk up twice, it will ignore that bulk up because it's going to be a critical hit. And you're going to get more HP back. On top of that, you can Swords Dance as well. So an ideal turn 1 for me would be Focus Energy, Drain Punch to get some health back, Swords Dance, Drain Punch, and then keep doing that until your stats are reset. Then I would Swords Dance twice, and then I would Drain Punch, and then ultimately you win. Why is Electric Terrain here? Well, Electric Terrain can be sprinkled in between. You could use one Electric Terrain to get rid of the Grassy Terrain, but it will also increase your attack stat. If in a situation you have 3 Iron Hands, one of them should Electric Terrain, because that would boost every other Iron Hands there. Even if you had 2 Iron Hands, one should Electric Terrain. It would boost both of you. It's very beneficial for the team. But with the specific EVs I have here, you're going to be a rock star. You're going to be people are going to be talking about your Iron Hands for months to come. Now I know what you're thinking. What about the damage? So Boom Burst would be a 4-hit KO with this specific Iron Hands build. That is great because you're going to be able to, you'll have more than enough time to get all that HP back when you crit every single Drain Punch. Woodhammer is going to be a 3-hit KO. Giga Impact, also a 3-hit KO. Acrobatics, 7. Hammer Arm, 8. This is one of the reasons why I don't recommend the Belly Drum option unless you Iron Defense first. You just don't want to be in a situation where... let's look at the last raid. Let's look at Delphox. Delphox opened up with Dazzling Gleam. It is very possible here that Rillaboom opens up with Boom Burst, which is 1/4 of your health. Belly Drumming would put you back to 25% of your health. And Woodhammer can easily clean up that last bit of damage and knock you out right away. So this is one of those situations. There's a lot of situations where I don't recommend Belly Drum. But even if somebody did a Defense Cheer or if somebody did Chilling Water, you are still with a 25% damage off the bat, 50% of your health gone. You are still getting finished off by Rillaboom right off the bat. It's cool that you're a +6 right away, but fainting relatively quickly and needing to come back in and waste another turn belly drumming and running that same risk just isn't beneficial to the entire team. I actually started off this video saying that I don't do solo builds, but I think I unintentionally made a pretty good solo Iron Hands that you could probably end up using. But one of the main problems against this would be if Rillaboom knew Screech, which at that point you might have to squeeze in Iron Defense. That being said, other Pokemon we have stop the Screech, but we have Earthquake. Obviously, Earthquake is decreased because of grassy terrain, but so the threat would be Stomping Tantrum, and in this situation with my specific Iron Hands build, Stomping Tantrum would be a 5-hit KO. So yeah, Iron Hands is looking really, really good here, and Iron Hands only gets better when you have proper support standing next to it. Speaking of support, we have a Houndstone, which actually works really well sitting next to an Iron Hands. Houndstone has the hidden ability Fluffy, and Fluffy is really great. It reduces damage from all contact moves by 50%, but Fire-type moves would do double damage. Rillaboom doesn't get access to any Fire-type moves, so it's safe for us to use Fluffy. But it pretty much reduces almost all of Rillaboom's moves. It doesn't reduce Boom Burst, but because Houndstone is Ghost type, it can't be hit by Boom Burst. So its typing and its ability works so well against Rillaboom, and it's such a good support Pokemon. We're actually going to give it a Relax Nature, which decreases its speed even more. It's already a pretty slow Pokemon at 68 base speed. But with the item Zoom Lens, it will increase the accuracy if Houndstone goes second against Rillaboom, and Houndstone will always go second. This makes a move like Will-O-Wisp significantly more accurate because Will-O-Wisp's base accuracy is 85%. So Houndstone ultimately opens up with a Will-O-Wisp, and cuts Rillaboom's physical attack stat in half. It can also snarl to reduce that special attack in case it has Boom Burst. That would help out your entire team. And then when the Raid Shield goes up, you can fish for burn with Fire Fang. A 10% chance of causing burn, so it's not super great. But you're not really here to do damage. You're here to pretty much support your team. And then finally, the bread and butter here is Howl. Howl will increase everyone's attack stat by +1. This works super good with Iron Hands. It also, the only Pokemon the Howl doesn't work with is Zamazenta. It's just because Zamazenta's Body Press. Well, Howl wouldn't work with any Body Press Pokemon because Body Press is running specifically off the defense stat, so a +1 in attack doesn't affect it at all. But for the rest of the Pokemon on our team, Howl would benefit. Instead of Howl, you could also you could switch that out for Helping Hand, and you can Helping Hand your teammates, of course. This is all just dependent on how often, if Rillaboom does reset stats. If he does it once or twice, we won't know that until the raid actually appears. Now, I know what you're thinking. What is the damage output here? Well, Woodhammer is a 5-hit KO. Acrobatics is a 9-hit KO. Obviously, we can't get hit by Hammer Arm or Giga Impact. Earthquake, Stomping Tantrum, U-Turn, Knockoff, really doing nothing. Knockoff being one of the strongest moves Rillaboom can use against you, which is a 6-hit KO. Remember, Knockoff does not knock off the item. So yeah, if you like playing support, Houndstone is really great. Houndstone would also be Houndstone would be the Pokemon that would prioritize the heal cheering as well. So if you are a Houndstone player, Will-O-Wisp, Snarl, maybe heal cheer at that point. Once or twice, Howl, heal cheer, Helping Hand, heal cheer, right? Like Houndstone should be prioritizing healing. So a Pokemon like Zamazenta or a Pokemon like Iron Hands can do their setup so they can do the damage to make the raid go by faster. Okay, our next Pokemon is Galarian Zapdos, which has the same typing as Hawlucha, but Hawlucha has significantly worse stats and doesn't have a cool signature move. That being said, unlike Bronzong and Forretress, Hawlucha is not a good budget pick for Zapdos, and Zapdos is the hardest to use here. So if you're looking at these 6 Pokemon, Zapdos really needs either somebody setting Reflect or somebody using Chilling Water pretty consistently to survive. If that exists, if you have a spouse, a significant other, a friend, grandpa playing with you, and they are using Reflect or they're using Chilling Water, then I think Zapdos can make every raid go by so much faster. And the reason for that is its signature move, Thunderous Kick. Thunderous Kick will lower the defense every time it's used. Make sure you PP max this move because you're going to be spamming it a lot. Now, in order to make Zapdos work, we need a little time to set up. So we're actually going to give Zapdos the Grassy Seed when it comes in. Rillaboom will set Grassy Terrain. Grassy Seed will activate. This is a very common strategy with Hawlucha in competitive Pokemon with Indeedee, because Indeedee sets Psychic Terrain, and then Hawlucha will use a Psychic Seed to increase its stats. Grassy Terrain will increase our defense stat by 1. That will let us survive moves a little bit better. We're going to open up with a Bulk Up to increase our defense again, and then we're going to start using Thunderous Kick. Now, you can squeeze in a Focus Energy. Remember, Focus Energy does not clear unless you faint. It will increase your chance of getting critical hits, but it won't be 100% like our Iron Hands build. The other thing which is really interesting, is we have Detect. The main reason we have Detect is because we will lose our Grassy Seed boost once stats are cleared. So, if we are playing with a Pokemon that uses Chilling Water, when our stats are cleared, we'll want to Detect so that Pokemon next to us can Chilling Water so we don't take any damage, and then we can continue our Thunderous Kicks after the stat reset. So Detect is really only going to be used when you are waiting for support from your teammates so you don't faint. And again, that's just all dependent on your team composition. But Zapdos is the most fragile here. How fragile, may you ask? Well, it can get 2-shot by Acrobatics, and like I said, I don't love recommending Pokemon that can give it 2-shot right off the bat. It doesn't take as much damage as Annihilate, but Annihilate takes, I want to say it takes about 65 to 70% damage from Acrobatics, and that would be like a 252 defense Annihilate. Now, when we do have the Grassy Seed here, you can see that Acrobatics turns into a 3-shot. So it does give us time to set up. And then, of course, if we use Bulk Up, that turns into a 4-shot. And then hopefully if somebody sets up a Reflect, you can now see we are in 8-hit KO territory with Acrobatics. Now, if somebody doesn't set up a Reflect, but we have a Chilling Water, we are looking at a 6-hit KO. You know, if the stars align and we have Chilling Water support and we have Reflect support, then we are looking really good. If we have this situation here, Zapdos becomes so powerful by just Thunderous kicking over and over again. Not only is every Thunderous kick getting more strong, but then the Pokemon standing next to you like Iron Hands or Zamazenta will get more strong because you're lowering its defense stat. So these other Pokemon can do big damage. Again, in a situation where you have Reflect or Chilling Water or both, Zapdos will be a huge MVP to the team. But if you do not have that, I would not recommend bringing Zapdos because it is the most frail Pokemon I am recommending here. It would pair really well next to a Zamazenta, or it would pair really well next to our next Pokemon, which is Vigoroth. Vigoroth is a normal type Pokemon, and it will be holding the Eviolite, which will increase its defense and special defense. It will have the impish nature, and it will be just a support Pokemon. This is our Pokemon that will not need to Terrasilize for anything, but you can because it's not going to change much. And it's going to have the move Chilling Water, which if you watch my videos, you know what Chilling Water does. It lowers the physical attack by 1 stage every turn. It works through the Raid Shield, which is really great. Vigoroth could probably end up spamming 3-4 Chilling Waters before picking a different move. Now, the other cool thing about Vigoroth is it has access to a move called Throat Chop. And what Throat Chop will do is it will shut down all sound type moves for 2 turns. That means if Rillaboom has Boom Burst, it cannot use Boom Burst at all. You actually stop it completely for 2 whole turns. On top of that, Rillaboom gets access to Uproar, Growl, and Noble Roar. Those are all sound type moves. Vigoroth shuts all of those down with Throat Chop as well. Now, the other move that we're really worried about Rillaboom having would be Screech. Because Screech lowers your defense by 2, and Rillaboom has a high physical attack stat, and it hits super hard, Screech would be a problem for a lot of Pokemon. Throat Chop also stops Screech. So, in the case of Rillaboom having any of these moves, Screech, Boom Burst, Uproar, Growl, Noble Roar, Vigoroth shuts down all of those moves with just Throat Chop. Well, in between can Chilling Water. So because Throat Chop lasts 2 turns, you can Throat Chop, Chilling Water, Throat Chop, Chilling Water. Assuming that Vigoroth is faster than Rillaboom. Rillaboom's base speed is 85. Vigoroth is 90, so you do outspeed here. The other thing that Vigoroth has access to is Crush Claw. It does get same type of attack bonus because Vigoroth is normal, but it has a 50% chance of lowering the target's defense by 1 stage. Not the 100% that Thunderous Kick from Zapdos has, but a 50% really good. So once you're done Throat Chopping and Chilling Water, you can squeeze in Crush Claws to fish for that 50% drop to help out your teammates. Or if your teammate is fully set up, like you have an Iron Hand standing next to you with Focus Energy, a Swords Dance, and then Drain Punching, you can Helping Hand that instead because you're probably going to get more value out of it. You can also do Taunt. Taunt will last 3 turns, but Taunt would also shut down Screech if it has it. The problem with that, though, is once the Raid Shield is up, it's possible for Rillaboom to Screech or to Noble Roar behind the Raid Shield, which you couldn't stop with Taunt. That's where Throat Chop comes back in. Woodhammer is a 3-hit KO, but keep in mind we're going to Chilling Water, turns it into a 5-hit KO. Chilling Water again turns it into a 7-hit KO. Chilling Water again turns it into a 9-hit KO. You can see where this is going. We have Giga Impact, where if it does have Giga Impact, that is again a 3-hit KO. Acrobatics 8-hit KO, and then Hammer Arm a 4-hit KO. So we are looking really good there. Gives us plenty of time to Chilling Water. Earthquake, Stomping Tantrum, Knockoff, U-Turn, not doing anything that we need to worry about. So Vigoroth is very good here. And again, if there's a light screen or reflect up on top of Chilling Water, your team is just going to be able to survive super well. Finally, speaking of Chilling Water, I wanted one more Pokemon that could Chilling Water. There are moves that are similar to Chilling Water. That would be like Lunge, Breaking Swipe, but there was just not a good combination of that support with a Pokemon. I ended up landing on Dragonite. And Dragonite is great because one, multi-scale is one of the best abilities in the game. And two, it has really good typing. Dragon Flying just resists so much of what Rillaboom can throw at it. So the moveset I have here for Dragonite is Chilling Water, Dragon Claw, Mist, and Light Screen. While it can learn Low Kick, and it could Terrasilize Fighting, I feel like giving up Dragon and Flying for a fighting type Pokemon that would be weak to acrobatics isn't the best. But if you wanted to go that route because you are playing with somebody who is using Reflect, then, and if you have the fighting type shards, I would then switch out Dragon Claw for Low Kick and then make your Dragonite a fighting Terra type. But I would probably only do that if you are playing with somebody consistently that has Reflect. Because obviously Reflect and Chilling Water is a very powerful combo, and then you would feel safer getting rid of the Dragon Flying for fighting. Dragon Flying is just has so many resistances. It's really good. The other moves here is we have Mist on Dragonite. Mist would prevent the stat drops from Drum Beating, Screech, Growl, Noble Roar. So if Rillaboom relies heavily on those moves, you can use a Mist that will last 5 turns. The other thing is Dragonite is like the opposite of Zamazenta. Zamazenta will Reflect and Snarl. Dragonite will Light Screen and Chilling Water. If for some crazy reason, obviously Rillaboom doesn't have Boom Burst, which is that special type normal attack, then obviously drop Light Screen for Ice Spinner or Roost. But if you want to squeeze in Ice Spinner or Roost, obviously you're more than welcome to. Why is Ice Spinner here? Ice Spinner is a cool move. You would only end up using it once or twice, but it would remove that grassy terrain. It removes all terrains every time it's used. So it's a really cool move, and I wanted to make sure that we had that on there. Roost, obviously, to get your health back, but you could also heal cheer. And once Dragonite is back at full health, that multi-skill ability activates again. Now, the EVs are really interesting here. We're at 252 HP. Dragonite is a pretty bulky Pokemon. We're at 192 attack, 20 defense, and then 44 speed. It's very rare that I put speed on a raid Pokemon, but Dragonite actually ends up being a little bit slower than Rillaboom. Rillaboom is base speed 85. Dragonite is base speed 80. So by giving Dragonite 44 speed EVs, we're actually 1 point faster than Rillaboom, meaning that after Rillaboom does its opening move, we would go before it. And that is really important in this specific situation because of Chilling Water. So if our Dragonite is slower and Rillaboom opens with an attack that we can't stop, the same way that Delphox opened with an attack we can't stop, we're going to get attacked twice because we have to do that speed check. So by being 1 point faster than Rillaboom, Rillaboom opens up with a possible move, does damage, and then we get to Chilling Water it, lowering its attack before it gets to attack a second time. That's going to be huge and really beneficial for your entire team. That is why it's this weird situation where speed actually matters in a very specific situation. If you watched my Delphox video last time, I talk about how speed doesn't really matter except for very specific situations. This is a very specific situation. And being able to Chilling Water before a second attack is going to make a huge difference in decreasing the damage your entire team takes. And there you go. That is all 6 Pokemon that I would recommend. If you've made it this far, thank you. I don't think this video ended up being shorter than any of my other videos, but if my raid builds have helped you, please like, comment, subscribe. That stuff is super helpful on YouTube. Share this with a friend. Like you guys, hate seeing a lot of misinformation about raid builds or people just not understanding how things work, like Knockoff or like Magician or... Gosh, I saw somebody on TikTok recommend Assault Vest, and then their moveset included Screech, which Screech can't work with Assault Vest. Now, if you are playing with not to change topics, but if you are playing with somebody and you're looking for combos, I would say that Houndstone and Iron Hands is a really good combo together because obviously Houndstone just reduces both the physical attack and special attack, giving Iron Hands ample time to set up. And once Iron Hands is set up, it's just going to get its health. It's just going to get almost all its health back every single turn. And then on top of that, Houndstone can then howl or helping hand the Iron Hands to make it stronger. So you can kind of bypass the whole belly drum route and just have a very healthy Iron Hands the entire fight. Another really good combo is Zamazenta Dragonite, just because Zamazenta can open up with Reflect, Dragonite can open up with Light Screen, Zamazenta can start powering up the body press, and then Dragonite can control damage with Chilling Water, and can prevent Screech drops if Rillaboom has Screech with the move Mist. Finally, I also think Vigoroth is good for every team, but if it's just you and your second cousin's dog playing, I think that Vigoroth and Zapdos work really well together. Obviously, Zapdos needs to bulk up, but Vigoroth can spam Chilling Water, and if we are worried about all the possible sound-based moves that Rillaboom can learn, we can squeeze in those throat chops in between the Chilling Waters. Vigoroth also has plenty of time to use Heal Cheer as well as a support Pokemon. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you need help when Rillaboom comes out, I will be streaming the Thursday night it shows up on Twitch, which is next Thursday, and then I will be also streaming it on Friday. And then, if you want to join on Twitch, I will be doing a birthday stream on Saturday, July 29th. That is my actual birthday, so if you want to come by and hang out, we'll be doing a really long stream that day. We'll be playing Pokemon, we'll be playing a bunch of other stuff, but if you're not doing anything on July 29th, I will be doing a birthday stream, so thank you for watching. Thank you for making it to the end. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.